Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, please drop that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel, as you guys are very well aware. Now, going back to quick update on the markets. Yesterday you had a major sell-off, mostly driven initially by the tech stocks, with Tesla and Google kind of on one side Tesla underperforming, but also Google's guidelines or guidance to the market was not great. And the market, to be honest, as I've been saying quite a few times, was priced for perfection, which means you need some corrections along the way. So for you to have an idea, despite the correction that we just had, the Nasdaq 100 is still up almost 15% on the year. And we are in July, right? For you to have an idea, 10% is already a good year. 10% over the year. We are in July and we're still above 14%. I've said this multiple times before. You need some sell-offs to cool off a little bit. And, today we are a bit green. And what matters the most, I've said this ad nauseum, but here it goes again. Look at the TLT. Is TLT going up or not? Or is it stable or not? Yes, it's stable. It's going up in my very modest opinion. And I'm not advising you to trade on this. I do think we will resume the uptrend in the near future. Can we still sell off? Sure. The Nasdaq 100, which is currently at 19,000, something in 19,200 or something, could go easily to about 18,000. That would be a retest of certain moving averages. I think the 50-day moving average, which is actually very healthy. You need these pullbacks in the market. You need to mitigate or to moderate the greed in the markets with some fear. We need to oscillate between extreme fear and extreme greed. It's all part of the cycle. In my view, the Fed keeps on removing the risk from the market as it keeps on, debasing the currency year upon year. But can we have sell-offs? Yes. Said this many times before. Can we go down 7, 10, 12, 15%? Sure, I don't see any problem with that. The Russell 2000 keeps on outperforming. I think it's above 2,200 once again. We are now about $200, give or take, from a new all-time high on the Russell 2000, and basically Harry Dent to find a new indicator of a crash, because he's been touting that the Russell 2000 is the one showing that something is really wrong because it hasn't made a new all-time high. So I'm very curious to see what it's going to say once we make a new all-time high on that index as well. Once again, what matters the most is keep an eye on the bonds, see if they're stable. If they're selling off aggressively, that's a much bigger problem than the stock market selling off. And once again, recognize that the S&P 500 is also up 14-15% year to date, and we are in July. I mean, we're not even in August yet, and we're approaching to the election. Volatility is in order, particularly until the election. We should have spikes of volatility in certain time periods. August tends to be a very low volume month, which can work both ways, up or down, in the sense that you don't need much to move the market. So always keep that in mind. But once again, to me, more importantly, is the liquidity cycle and not so much these local sell-offs. Of course, if the Fed stops printing money forever, if they stop debasing the currency, then you're going to have a sharp reevaluation or readjustment of the true value of stocks and real estate and other assets. And then you're going to see really, and particularly bonds, if the Fed stops intervening, then bonds will go straight down and yields will explode to the upside, as I don't believe that they're going to do that, and they cannot do that. Of course, I was watching Meet Kevin yesterday, and he was already predicting a crash. I think is the crash number 17 since 2023. It's basically a crash per month or something like that. And he's already saying that we're going to sell off sharply into the election. Now, for the people in the crypto space, which is my case, one of the good things that we like to see is that Jim Cramer has turned bearish. So finally, very positive news. That's one of the clearest bottom signals that you can get. We have the Bitcoin conference that started today. And of course, Trump will speak on the 27th. And it was quite funny because somebody, I think it was Mark Cuban, that kind of gave the hint that Kamala Harris was trying to be a speaker in the conference as well. So it's also very appealing for us, for the crypto retards, as we used to be known, that now we have two presidential candidates basically fighting to talk to us, to speak to us, to try to get our vote. So it just shows you how much the world can change very rapidly. By the way, Russia became extremely favorable to crypto very recently. Some new legislation was approved. As I've said before, if the US decides to be anti-crypto, the innovation will just go someplace else in the planet, and most likely to the US enemies. Surprise, surprise. Of course, there's the rumor that Trump will have Bitcoin added to the US strategic reserves. If that happens, then the sky is really the limit. And, just wanted to say something also around the Ethereum ETFs. Once again, people were trying to convince you, people like Crypto7, people like, oh, we didn't have that much of a pump, so we're not going to have a dump, blah, 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 right? I said, look, once again, you guys are betting in the first buy the rumor, buy the news event. I said, buy the rumor, sell the news event. Ethereum, during the ETF rumors, went as high as 3,900, and now it's at 3,100. Congratulations, you just had another buy the rumor, sell the news event. I've also said that I wouldn't be surprised that we make a higher high above the 3,900 sometime within 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. The Bitcoin ETF took about 2 weeks to basically go from go up to 49K, drop to 38K, and then to cross the 49K took about, I think, 16 days. So I wouldn't be surprised that we would take a little bit less time for Ethereum. But you need to keep something in mind. I've said this. I was one of the few that said this. Grayscale has $9 billion in Ethereum. And Grayscale charges 2.5% when you can get one of the new ETFs at 0.2%. So why on earth would you pay 2.5% if you can get the same thing at 0.2? So I said Grayscale Ethereum is going to be a big seller. Guess what? In 2 days, they've sold $800 million. Actually, the ETFs have now a net outflow after 2 days of trading rather than inflow, much thanks to Grayscale. Much thanks to Grayscale. You heard it first in this channel. Nobody was looking at the holdings of Grayscale. Everybody was so concerned about Mt. Gox and about the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and all their holdings that they had. They've sold way more than half of their holdings. The Germans are out. The Mt. Gox coins are coming out now every single day. I think there's a big spike in the amount of coins coming out sometime in the next 7 to 10 days. So we can have another sell-off event, perfectly possible. But if you look at the Bitcoin inflows as well, Grayscale is still selling, but it's now selling 27, 26, $30 million, while in the past they were selling, their average I think is $140 million per day. And now they are selling 26, 27. So if you want to see why Bitcoin is not selling that much while everything else is selling, that's your reason why. Once again, what you're looking for in terms of bottom signals is people saying that Ethereum is finished, Jim Cramer turning bearish, check. You need to start seeing channels predicting Ethereum to go to $2,000, something like ridiculous like that. Of course, Discover Crypto, one of the channels out there. 2 days ago, it was Bitcoin 100K. Now it's Bitcoin crash, because we went from 68 to 64,000. What a crash. But again, it's less than a 10% correction, but nowadays this is a crash. It's all about the views. It's not about getting you informed. It's all about following the technical analysis and the mastermind courses and all this garbage, and making you look at the tree and never at the forest. That's the point. So you keep on coming back, and you should just ask yourselves, how many crypto millionaires do you know that bought a mastermind course? I leave that question for you. And you guys do whatever you want, right? I'm not your parent. I'm not your father. I'm not your guardian. So you guys do whatever you please. Now the point is, if you've been following this channel, you know, if we follow the previous cycles, namely the 2016 cycle, we should start having some fun around mid-August. Obviously, there's a Bitcoin conference now, and obviously Trump is speaking. Now, this is different in the sense that we never had the favorite presidential candidate speaking at an event like this, and whatever he says can have a deep impact. But in any case, at least particularly for altcoins, we start to have some fun around mid-August if we follow the previous cycles. Now, does that mean that 14 August we're going down and then 15 August we go up 50%? No. It's when you start to have some fun. The point is, for me, it stays the same. I'm checking 2025. The liquidity cycle keeps on repeating. We are now shifting from liquidity spring to liquidity summer, which basically also pushes crypto into the summer side. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Crypto, and particularly the altcoins in the bull market, have sell-offs along the way of 60, 70, 75%. That happens quite often. So I'll take the example of Andy. Andy went to $1.5 million market cap. That's when your friend here joined. Then it dropped to 300K, 200 something K. Then it went to 20 million, then to 10 million, then to 150 million, then to 30 million, then to 320 million, down to 75, and now we are at 135. This is normal. These particularly meme coins and altcoins experience higher levels of volatility, except BNB, obviously, because we have CZ rotating Binance profits into buying its own coin. This is not a criticism. This is great for any investor in BNB because they get the gains without any of the pain. And the reality is BNB is a successful token. Doesn't matter what you want to say about it. Doesn't matter if you like it, if it's too concentrated, if it's this, the other, and I don't know what else. The reality is, look at the performance. It dropped less than Bitcoin during the bear market, and it pumped harder, and it's pretty much the big altcoin that already did a new all-time high this cycle. Finally, meme coins, I think will still do well. It may be a case that Solana and Solana meme coins will underperform others. The simple reason is everybody got enamored with Solana. Roll Paul is like 90% Solana. The guy from Crypto Banter is all in Solana. So everybody's talking about Solana. And my point being this: if every influencer, if every major channel is always Solana, 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 the question you should ask yourself, if they're already in, what they're trying to do. They're trying to convince you to get in so they can start exiting. You see, they're looking for exit liquidity. And Solana already outperformed. So Solana did extremely well in the first part of the bull market, which tells me that a lot of people, very weak ends, positioned in that ecosystem, which means it will be painful for those ends to be cleared out. While Ethereum has been underperforming, has lost a lot of the spotlight. And by the way, if you also follow this channel, that's basically the thing that I've been mostly wrong, which is I thought that Ethereum would be outperforming by now, which is not. I've also said third cycle curse. It's a real thing, man. Third cycle curse. Underperformance was in the cards. I doubted a bit myself on that. I should have been more clear and more, believing more in the third cycle point. However, as you guys know, I like things which are cheap. I like things that are undervalued, and I hate things when all these influencers are positioned there, because those guys are here to screw you, most of them. They are here to use you as exit liquidity. You always need to ask yourself, if these guys pick coins as well as they try to convince you, if these guys are such magician traders as they try to convince you, then why do they need your $200? Why do they need your $30 a month Discord fee? Think about it. And with that, guys, I leave you be. If you guys been following the channel, you were expecting this sell-off, so you're relaxed. For the people out there that were convinced that we're gonna have our first buy the rumor, buy the news event, sorry, try again. It's still not this time. Maybe next time. Maybe one day we'll do have a buy the rumor, buy the news event. And with that, guys, thank you very much for your support. Don't forget to drop that like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.